And we are live. Hey everyone! I hope you are well, or as well as you possibly can be. It's your favorite preschool teacher, that's how I'm dressed today, Jasmine Kylene. And I'm so excited to be here. Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are at in the world. Happy fall equinox. Happy Libra season. Happy almost new moon. Happy being alive. Am I right, guys? Jess, I already see your name. We love to see it. So today we have a great show for you guys. Here you go. What we're going to be doing today is a bit of a fall equinox ritual.
So exciting.
You and I
I love us so much. I love us so much because I'm getting on here and I'm just ready for it. Oh,
wait,
can you hear me?
Hold on. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me okay?
Yes. Sorry, we were it was lagging for a second. We were overlapping, but we're good now. How are you, my queen?
I love you. I'm just so excited to be here and I love Smudge Wellness. So I'm just so honored to do anything with you. You know how much I just receive whenever we do these lives. Yes, I'm given some, insight, but I also get to receive from you. And I feel fall's my favorite season. So I'm ready for all of the, beautiful nuggets that you're going to share today.
I know. Someone said we love a Jazz and Jess collab. First of all, wave, I'm so happy to see you. Jess, I couldn't be more excited. First of all, I was saying that you and I together right now, it's like an epilepsy warning because of how colorful we are, but this is how I'm feeling, which is crazy. Because fall this retreat inward, but something about the energy right now feels very alive and vibrant. So for those of you who have never watched a live with us or have worked with us at all, well, I'll definitely give Jess a chance to introduce herself, but Jess is the most incredible Reiki master. She channels animals. She works with just like a direct conduit of divinity. So she's going to be giving us some Reiki, some distance Reiki, some channeled messages, some insight. I am Jasmine Kylene. I'm a spiritual counselor. I'm a journalist. I'm going to be talking about the astrology. I'll lead us through a meditation, and we'll honestly just kind of discuss what the energy is right now, how to work with it, and ultimately how to live in the fullest potential of this fall season. But yeah, Jess, let them know who you are, girl.
Well, I'm wearing my shirt from you. Love you. And I'm feeling this intuitive energy today. So I am that is spiritual. And so I'm really excited because I channeled right before I got on this live. That's kind of what I do, is I connect with spirit to see what messages are coming through for the collective, for everybody that will be here, and also catching the replay. And so spirit had a really beautiful way of how they kind of worked through me this morning to really share some good insights as to how we can align with this fall energy. So I'm just honored and grateful to be here.
I'm so excited, especially because you usually don't, but beforehand gave me a little bit of a glimpse into what her channeled messages were, and they were so aligned with what I believe the astrological weather is talking about, what this equinox is inviting us to do, which is right off the bat I want to say, and I want to give anyone watching right now permission to feel okay with the fact that everything is crazy right now. We are amidst 6 retrogrades. It's ridiculous.
Which ones are they? Do you can we list
Saturn, Mercury? I have to go through the list because I know that there's
Jupiter
as well.
too?
And what's crazy? I'm sorry? You froze a bit, darling. No. The connection.
Let me see.
I can't lie, but also I expected that with Mercury retro. Hello. Do you see me? Cries. Wait, Keeks, those emojis are exactly.
Okay, see if this works better.
Okay, I hear you now.
Okay.
Say something?
Are we back? Maybe this might be better now.
The way that the connections are in the room. Yes.
All right.
Well, that's
a good time.
Exactly. Someone saying everything is crazy right now. And that's why I just want to give us permission to first and foremost, let ourselves survive this a little bit. Mercury is absolutely doing its thing. Know that there is this element of delay, a bit of a sort of as if we're working against the energy right now, but also, if anything, that's an invitation to sort of relinquish control and to surrender in, okay, if the cosmos are doing their thing right now, and if right now this equinox energy is a chance to sort of come back to self and retreat inward a bit, how can I use that to be permission to like rest and surrender to the organic unfolding? Which I know you got some messages along those lines, so share.
Yeah, so hopefully everybody can hear me. We're good. I actually downloaded some messages, and it was really interesting how spirit wanted to work through me was actually through the colors that we kind of get to see in fall through the chakra system. So really what I got from this morning's messages was just different spiritual homework, if you would, in our root, our sacral, and our solar, which is so what we see during fall. We see the reds, we see the oranges, we see the yellows, depending on where you are. Obviously, Florida, we don't have as many of those leaves that are turning, but you can kind of get that sense and that feel with, just Halloween and Thanksgiving, all these different holidays. You see all these different colors kind of working out. And our lower chakras are really connected to how we relate to the world outside of us. And so the first message that came through was in our root chakra, which is obviously at the base of the spine. The color is red. And what I got for us for this fall equinox is get connected. So this is a time for us to be present. I'm sensing that what I got from spirit this morning within this root chakra message for this fall equinox is that some of us we might be thinking about the past, or we might also be really kind of thinking about the future. And so really right now is an invitation for us to really just get connected to the now. It's also really important in this fall equinox energy that we are around community that really supports us. I sense that there's a lot of growth, especially I've been saying this for like a month with my Reiki clients. I'm really feeling October is going to be an energetic shift for so many of us, that I think that having this support of people who really believe in you, people who are really truly rooting for you, it's really important to be in that space. I don't know how that resonates because I know you know so much more about like the astro, but this is just what I got from spirit. So yeah.
Well, spirit was talking directly to you via telefono, because that's exactly it. And what's beautiful about it is that, several things to hit. Well, October is absolutely going to be a shift in energy, I think, especially because Mercury will be going direct. Mind you, all of these retrogrades that are sort of like this invitation to work with delay, to work with pause, to work with retreat inward, everything will be back direct in March. So I do believe March 2023 is going to be when we'll really step into like a brand new timeline, especially because Saturn will be moving into Pisces and Pluto will be moving into Aquarius. But like, I think October is really going to be where we get permission to move again. And I think it's gorgeous that we're in a place where we can sort of like work with exactly what you're saying with getting connected in the present moment. And what I have been really centered on right now is that I've been recognizing the fact that so much of my nervous system has been on fight or flight survival mode because of how attached I have been to what am I manifesting? What am I calling in? What am I doing with my life? What does it look like for me? What am I like in my career? Am I going to study? Like I have been so obsessed with figuring out what am I doing that I have missed everything that I am currently standing in. And the fact that so much of what I'm currently standing in is what past me was like begging and yearning to taste. So the first thing that I want to, the seventh thing that I want to say about this fall equinox perfectly with this root chakra message is, especially with fall sort of being the season where we harvest, right? Where we reap what we've sown. Yes, we're going to tend to our gardens and we're going to figure out how we want to move forward in a way that nourishes who we are now, but also like question why you are always in a chase. Question why you are always reaching for something. And ask yourself, what am I enjoying, tasting, standing in, reaping the benefits of that I have already worked for? And how can I give myself permission to enjoy it? Because sometimes when you question that, you'll find that there may have been an experience in childhood or an upbringing that has taught you to be at such a level of perfectionism that nothing or no version of yourself is ever enough. And we can carry that into adulthood. And we can say, even if I've achieved this thing, or even if this place feels safe, well, then I have to work on this. Or even in our healing journeys, even if I've overcome this thing, well, there's so much more to go, so I might as well just keep running towards it. And it's like, have you taken the time to just sit and enjoy what you're standing in now? So I think that message resonates perfectly with that, for sure.
Yes, and I'm 100% right there with you, because I've been doing the same thing within my mind of things that I have cultivated and manifested, that years ago this was a dream to be saying that I am a Reiki master and I am a spiritual entrepreneur full time as my job, but then I'm still getting caught up into, what that looks like in the next level and expansion, versus just falling into the now, just falling into the now. That's really where, yeah, I feel so seen in that. Totally, 100%. And if this is resonating, please feel free to leave in the comments, because I can see them, which is great. And I know that Jazz and I would love to interact with you. Yeah, so I'll move now into the sacral, because that was, how spirit kind of, really guided this intuitive insight. And what I have here is reignite your creativity. I think that right now, obviously the sacral chakra, it's the lower abdomen, it's connected to the color orange, and it is connected to where we birth, right? We birth new ideas, we birth whatever it is that we really are wanting to cultivate. And so really, how can this fall season also awaken your creative energy? I really do feel, once again, kind of going into October, that there's going to just be this call to self of really just saying, like, what is it that I want to create? Like, what actually just like is something that I want to create that also helps me to own my power in the relationships outside of myself? Because the sacral chakra is really where we have our relationships. It's all the relationships outside of us. And so really, how do you want to perhaps use this creative energy to help you to feel more powerful, perhaps with, your business, with your, your abundance, with your partners, whatever that looks like, but letting your creativity actually be the solution to some of that energy. Does that make sense?
Of course it makes sense, 100%. I love that. And I love the fact that like that aligns so beautifully with what it means to be intentional with our solitude right now. Because like I've said, fall is this energy of coming back to self, right? We're coming out of this summer season that, I don't know if it was like this for you guys, but like it was a lot. Like there was a lot of stimulation, a lot of, socializing and just a lot of activity. And so I feel like this retreat back inward is such a beautiful opportunity to kind of hear yourself and figure out, if I want to move forward creatively, how am I going to do so in a way that honors my truth? I think that so much of what dictates what we create and how we move forward in our careers or in our creative expression is dictated by what people expect of us, or the role that we sort of, play and how we perform for, an outward collective. But truthfully, to live most authentically means to hear what your heart is yearning for. So I think taking this time in solitude and intentional solitude and stillness and meditation and being home is an opportunity to kind of hear, like, what do I want to create and who do I want to be and how do I want to stand in that fertile soil, not from a place of survival mode that I need to create in order to get this paycheck in order to survive, or like in that place of like fight or flight of like, I need to advance in my career, or I need, but rather, what do I want to do and what is coming from an honest, true, authentic place as a form of expression rather than survival. So yeah, absolutely.
And I love that you're saying that, because I think that if we go into it with that intention, it allows us to not feel that pressure. And because creating should be something that just brings you joy. And it's so interesting. I actually heard this quote, and I'm so sorry because I don't know exactly who had this quote, but they were basically saying that actually, whenever we say, I'm so busy, that's actually you being lazy. And I thought that this is such a very interesting perspective, because what they're basically saying, with this quote and this interpretation, is that you're not giving yourself the space to just create and to just be, that you're actually just like just doing the thing to do the thing, but you're not really consciously allowing yourself that space to create. You're just doing. And I think that that's something that we could all take a note for this fall equinox.
Totally. Oh, wow. First of all, 100% drag me with that quote. Secondly, I'm seeing so many comments.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Actually starting with, oh my gosh. Yeah, 100%. And I think it's beautiful because resting into this, yeah. And I shared some journaling prompts on my page, on the Lolly Luna page, because I think one of the prompts is hyper-focused on not only are we going to sort of be in this space of isolation, but intentional isolation, right? This isn't to just hibernate and disconnect from community, but rather, how can you be intentional with the time that you spend with yourself and make sure that that time is spent nurturing what you want to be doing, who you want to be standing in, and who you want to return to your social life as. And if I can quickly, I pulled a couple cards and they align so
Yes.
beautifully with this message. So of course, one of the cards is from your deck, because always, but they came out as such a story. The first card that I pulled for the collective is emotional withdrawal. And I feel like this is exactly what we're talking about, right? It's sort of like coming out of this social era and coming back into a space of, okay, I'm in my home, I've lit my incense, I've cooked my food, I have, you know, my music playing, I'm hearing myself. And the second card that came right afterwards was heart chakra, of like, what does my heart want right now? Not, you know, what have I been seeing everyone on Instagram doing, so I think that I need to keep up, or what has, you know, being in the social space sort of maybe perform as, you know, what does my heart want to create, want to do, want for itself. And I think that the more we disconnect from societal running and come back to self, the more that we figure out what laws are we governed by, how we define success, how we define joy. And then the last card that I pulled from this deck was Destiny, because I think that's when, exactly what you were saying, in that sacral energy, you get to align with your truth and then create from a space that isn't of survival or upkeep or, you know, just performance for an outward collective, but rather your truth. And then when I pulled from your deck, the final sort of card to seal in the energy, I am free to move forward, darling. Miss Crocky. Which, if you want to talk about or sort of tap into the energy of this card, but how I took it with this story is like, you can use that knowledge to then, especially when this retrograde ends in October, at least Mercury retrograde, you can move forward with awareness of what your truth is.
Yes, and I really think what's coming through as you shared, that was so beautiful, and what was coming through as you were just talking about that is like, what energy are you birthing with your dreams, right? I know that, like, when I became a spiritual entrepreneur, my friend said to me, she's like, you are your own workshop, because the month in, you know, we talk about taking the leap of faith, we talk about all this, you know, beautiful energy, but then, you know, when I was actually in it for the first month, I freaked out. I was in a scarcity mindset of like, what did I just do? Did I just blow up my life? And my friend was like, wait a second. She was like, you just totally, you know, left your job that you were stressed and you were freaking out, you know, like, of like, you know, to now be in your dreams. And this is the energy that you want to bring to your dreams. And I was like, oh man, that is like, and so everything that you're saying, it's like talking about the heart of like, how are you really creating, right? What energy is really underneath that? And the thing is that with the alligator, it's the freedom to move forward, but it's also seeing the clarity, right? The alligator, they rise above the murky waters so that they can see things clearly. So it's not just moving forward to, you know, move forward for the sake of moving forward, but actually allowing yourself this time to get reconnected so that you can move in that clarity.
Oh my God.
I think a lot of us don't feel clear with all these retrogrades. I just don't think we do.
No, and I think we're trying to control that clarity. We're trying to figure out that clarity. Like, okay, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to journal through this and I'm going to walk out. But it's like, we have to surrender to the fact that it's in the contrast and I don't know about you guys, but I've been getting really like overwhelmed with the speed of my thoughts lately. Instead of trying to, you know, like trying to force stillness out of a period that feels chaotic, how can you just kind of sit back, observe it, and find that when you kind of surrender to what the energy is, that's when the clarity organically comes into fruition. And I believe it was you that introduced me to this quote of like, what energy are you feeding your dreams with? I remember you said that at a session like maybe 2 years ago, and I've like centered so much of my work on that, because if you are building something for yourself and you're feeding it with angst, if you're feeding it with frustration, if you're feeding it with survival instinct and I need to and control, like, why do you want to build a dream out of that energy? But rather trust, understanding that if there's a delay, it's because there's something that you're not seeing, and you're not going to see it if you don't quiet down your own thoughts and like actually hear what the universe is communicating to you. So it's just so important that we that we just honor the stillness. So
yeah. And I think that you bring up such a great point, because the universe is not always going to just shout at you. The universe will also give you just silent whispers, and if you're not allowing yourself the time to really listen to those whispers, you can miss it.
Yes, totally. Which, first of all, I thank you, Kiana, for bringing that up. Who was the most incredible creative, by the way. You guys should definitely check her work out. Said, the benefit of living with no purpose. Watched it a few nights ago per your suggestion. So this is a video, and for anyone who wants it, definitely reach out and I'll share it, called, it's by Alan Watts, who's this incredible philosopher. And he
I saw you post this.
Yes, and it really, I'm on such a manic high today because of that video. Because I
I
was
gotta
in
check it out.
survival mode of like, what am I doing? Where am I going? Right? That very future living. And what that video is centered on is like, can you define what living a joyful life looks like? And can it be something that is outside of the reaching for something, but rather the enjoyment, the aimless and pointless enjoyment of what you're standing in right now? And I feel like that was such a liberating thing for me to come to. And um yeah, there's more that I want to say, but honestly, I want you to get to the solar plexus because
Okay.
yeah,
So we'll get to this. So, well, yeah, we'll come. Yeah, all right. So the solar plexus. So, and I can always like I'll recap this too. But the solar plexus obviously is the connection to ourself. The color is yellow. It's above the navel, below the chest, and this is really where the immersion of all of our nerve endings come through. So it's a really potent one for us to be to just be mindful of during this fall equinox. What I have from spirit this morning was redefine your worth. Redefine your worth. And really, this is a good time. What I kept hearing is that this is a really special time to redefine your worth, because we're going to be going into these holiday, get-togethers with friendships, with family that might rattle our worth a little bit, that maybe we might even have to set some boundaries, which is also what comes through in the solar plexus. Is how are you really, what are you giving permission to? What are you saying yes to say no to? And so really right now, what I got is to take this fall equinox to really say, okay, how am I going to really redefine my worth and also really own it? Maybe come up with three, because this is the third chakra, maybe come up with three different words that you would like to use to describe your worth. And then just kind of know that whatever situations unfold throughout fall or the holidays, to say, okay, am I still standing in that integrity, right? In that space of really what that connection looks like. Because I think that a lot of us, to our worth is, maybe I would invite you to like elevate it. That maybe right now what I'm getting from spirit is it's almost like lukewarm water, like where maybe you have these certain characteristics of how you define your worth, but there's an invitation for us to advance that and for us to really up level that in this fall equinox and to stand in it. Yeah.
Ooh, oh girl. First of all, you said three words. If anyone comes up with the words like during the live, please share them. The first one that comes to me is unconditional, because I really am devoted to living a life of unconditional self-worth. And self-defined, unconditional and self-defined, because I found that I've resourced a lot of my worth from external validation. So that is so powerful. And I think you bringing up boundaries is fucking huge. This is being recorded. Thank you so much for asking that. My life, one thing about Jess, she gonna gather you, baby. I think it's funny because when I was reflecting on this equinox, boundaries and balance were two words that were coming up so loudly. And the reason why, because I do want to touch on balance, is such a huge element. And I think this ties a lot with solar plexus, because living in your worth means deciding what you take in and what you give out. And I think that there really needs to be an equilibrium there. But what I've been sitting with recently in my own personal journey that I find really aligned with this energy is I struggle a lot with finding balance in my life. And what the energy right now is, we have the sun that just moved into Libra, Mercury retrograde is in Libra. The equinox itself is an equal amount of light and dark, right? So we're being confronted with like the balance in our lives, in every area, and what balance and how are we triggered in that way. And I think I would really invite you to sit with whatever imbalance is showing up in your life in any area. So whether it's, my shadow and my light, my human and my spiritual. I mean, for me, it's like in everything, like my relationship with discipline versus like surrender. And something that's been coming up a lot is, why do I struggle with balance? And finding that I find a lot of safety in living in extremes because I think they're easier to define. So like I can
I'm not laughing, but I totally can relate to this. I totally, like, when you're like, everything's great and it's amazing, then you're like, everything is crazy. Like, I totally can relate to this. Yes.
No, insane. And I realized, I was like, why do I find so much comfort in living in an extreme, right? So like, for instance, like I'll be like on a food journey and I'm like, I'm gonna be really disciplined and I'm meal prep and I'm not even gonna look at anything that threatens, my internal equilibrium. That's the place where I'm like, for you to hold us back like that, when I am a human having a human experience, I'm going to eat everything that I see because I deserve to and I'm hot no matter what. Like I can never just be in a middle ground. And I found that that's honestly no shade, no tea, but like a trauma response and a survival mechanism, right? Because sometimes we can be in situations in our lives where we kind of have to live in an extreme in order to like understand it, right? And if you're like, I used this example recently, but like if you're like, I'm only wearing blue shirts right now, it's really easy to make sure that you don't put on a red shirt. Or like if I'm only wearing red shirts, it's very easy to avoid all blue shirts. But like what happens when you're like, no, I want to wear equal amounts of both? You can get overwhelmed with like, did I wear too many red shirts this month? And like, oh my God, am I favoring blue? Like you can get overwhelmed and it's harder to control. So I think when it comes to the balance that we're being invited to look at, it's important to ask yourself, what's your relationship with control? Can you surrender to the inevitable imperfection of seeking out balance? What is your relationship with perfectionism? And what are the boundaries that you have surrounding that whole entire thing and whatever imbalance is showing up in your life right now? So I think that's very solar plexus as well.
I love that. I love that. Erica said, is it about balance or being honest about our commitment to our priorities? I think it's both. I think it's both. I think it's really being so intentional of really in this space of like, what can I honestly commit to that feels in flow and feels aligned for me? And I think even just asking yourself, what does the word balance, how does that even make you feel? You know, like just hearing it, like where does that show up for you in your life? Like where that, like just even starting there, just because your balance will look a lot different than my balance, right?
Totally. 100%. So important because we're also ever evolving creatures, and like sometimes you do need to be on one polar end of the spectrum. Sometimes you do need to be seeking out balance, and I think this fall equinox is a time to like check in with like, who am I right now? What is the reality that I'm standing in right now? What is the garden that I'm standing and look at right now? And what does this specific plot of land need right now? I don't need to commit to anything that may not be true for me 6 months from now, that wasn't true for me 6 months ago. But what is my truth right now? Maybe 3 months ago, you were in a really social space and you were like, I want to be going out a lot right now. And maybe right now you're like, I'm actually very socially drained and I need to be in a resting place. Or maybe you're like, if I isolate too much, I feel disconnected from community and I feel too stuck in my head. But if I'm too in community, I don't hear myself enough. So maybe I need to find balance with both. It's really figuring out what is your truth and devoting yourself to that.
I love all this. And so does today actually start Libra season?
Can you believe that? Because
wow.
Feels it's all about balance, and fall equinox really is about like the equal amounts of sun and light. So it's just really like we want to confront where is there imbalance in our lives, where do we need to honor the fact that like, no, I need to be a hard no on this or a hard yes on this, and where is like survival instinct coming into play on either of those ends.
I love Missy. She's like, actually, it's like giving yourself permission to buy a wide variety of different types of shoes and wearing them whenever you want, or maybe not even buy. Yeah,
exactly. So you have to give yourself permission to know, to trust yourself, to know that you know what you need in that given moment. So yeah, totally.
So beautiful. Yeah, I think for me, when I think about the 3 words to owning my worth, one is like activation. Because I think that I don't activate my worth. Mm-hmm. I think that I can sit here and I can address it and have a moment where I really, you know, where I'm like, wow, Jess, like, you know, you really are like doing the thing and you're doing it really well, whatever that is. But actually being an activation of it is a whole, like, how are you activating your worth? Like, not even just like, how are you describing it? How are you actually in the this particular action of our dreams? You know, being in the action of balance, not just, you know, mentioning in it, but actually having a pure, clear intention in that. Yeah. I loved it. So,
would you be willing to give a brief overview of like the 3 chakras and their messages, please?
Yes. Okay. So here's our recap before I know that Jasmine's going to lead us down an amazing meditation while you get some Reiki healing. So really what we have here from Spirit, they wanted to speak through the chakras and the chakras that are really connected to the colors that we see in fall. So we have red for the root chakra, orange for the sacral, and yellow for the solar. So for the root chakra, here's just a quick recap. Get connected. A lot of us have been past tripping, future tripping. This fall equinox is really an invitation for you to be present. Also, really quickly, in this root chakra is to be around community that supports us. October is going to bring in a lot of expansion. You're going to have different downloads, different visions for yourself, and really where it is that you want to take your life. I've been feeling like this for like the last 6 months with my clients. And so this is really where you want to allow yourself the space to be around community that supports you. Sacral chakra, reignite your creativity. This is a great time for you to really think about things that you want to create that also are coming from what Jasmine said in her beautiful card reading, that come from the heart. And so really thinking about how you want to create from that space. And in the solar plexus, redefine your worth. This is a time for us to get really clear of our worthiness, because we're going to be entering different holidays with different family members and friendships. And so boundaries is going to be something that definitely is coming up for all of us. And what I really realized with boundaries is that I always wondered why I had such a hard time setting boundaries. And I learned that the reason why is because, you know, having boundaries, like, that comes from trauma, you know, and that it's really hard. Like, I would invite anybody who also struggles with boundaries is to start off small. Maybe don't start off with your family and setting boundaries, because that's going to probably have a little bit more weight. So start with maybe things that feel a little bit more attainable. And so really redefine your worth during this fall equinox. So that's what I got.
I love that. And she also invited us to bring up 3 words that define how we're redefining our worth right now. So if anyone is coming up with those words, mine are unconditional and self-resource. I'm waiting on the third. Will show up. But so the notes that I had for the fall equinox that I'll just quickly go over as well. The first one, obviously, we've already touched on balance, right? Libra, it's all about looking at where are you in balance, and especially in terms of like, is your spiritual journey overcompensating your human 3D experience, and how can you let yourself be human having a spiritual experience, and vice versa. Also, your light and dark. You want to make sure that you're not so devoted to light that you're repressed shadow. That shadow will come up, baby.
I feel like you just called me out, and I love it. I'm so here for it.
You know what? There's another video about shadow work that I really had shifted things for me. I'll share it as well if anyone wants it. But yes, recognizing, especially when it comes to balance, if you struggle with balance and perhaps find yourself living in extremes much more easily, figuring out where that comes from, what situations taught you that extremes are safer, and asking yourself, what's your relationship with imperfection, with control, with fear. I also want to just give us permission to recognize the fact that things are a little bit wonky right now. There's a million retrogrades. So if you're experiencing delays, if you're feeling like you're really stuck in your head, if you're feeling like things aren't going quite according to plan, can you just rest and surrender in the organic unfolding and let yourself bask in what already is going right? What else? Action. I think because fall is such an invitation to come inward and come into a space of like intentional isolation, you want to make sure that you're not alone and you're just like watching 12 videos on YouTube and going to sleep and like distracting yourself with TikTok. Like, if you're going to have this time to be with yourself, can you be intentional about it? Can you meditate? Can you journal? Can you have and build a better partnership with yourself instead of just being alone and not really doing anything with that time? If you want to be in relationship with yourself, you should treat the time that you have with yourself the same that you would with a loved one. So like, have conversations with yourself, have intentional time. Also, yeah, working to let go of control and let the natural unfolding of things happen. And then I think what the most important message right now is, are you giving yourself permission to bask in the fruits of your labor right now? Can you recognize where you are so devoted to the chasing of a new accomplishment, of a new thing, of a new checkpoint in your spiritual journey that you haven't given yourself permission to enjoy where you are standing right now and of that garden? So
I feel called out on that one too.
Anything to add, my Jessie Wessie?
I love that. And you totally hit something on the head of like, I'm learning how to really be alone. Yeah. And it's been really, it really brought up a lot of shadow stuff of how comfy I haven't been being alone. And so when you kind of just said that of like, you know, making it intentional, I'm like, yeah, I don't really necessarily do that. Like, I really want to take that. So thank you for sharing that. Of really like, how do I want to like intentionally spend the time with myself? Because we think about how we want to spend time with others. Why are we not, like, for me, I'm like, why am I not thinking about that for myself?
Yeah, totally. Like, we when we're meeting up with others, you know, we pick a nice park, we pick a nice restaurant, we make plans, but then when it's us, we're just like, let me watch reality television and just fill up the space noise as possible, which, mind you, watching reality TV is an activity that I enjoy doing myself.
So much.
But also, like, can you take yourself on dates? And sometimes those dates look like lighting an incense and playing your favorite music, and taking an extra long bath, and just making sure that you're with yourself. So yeah, be intentional about that. And yeah, with that being said, I'd love for us to move. Why are you reading me, baby? I'm reading myself. That's why. That's all.
I love it.
A meditation where Jess will give us some Reiki love. And yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah. And we'll see what animal. I really feel called, because I know that we had mentioned some animal guidance. We'll see like what animal is working with us for this fall equinox. I'm excited to channel that with everybody here. Yeah.
No, that's exactly what I was gonna say. Wait, I don't know if she wants to work with animals today, so I was like, let me not push it. But
no, I'm in it.
If they feel themselves, I would love to hear it. So beautiful. I love that then. So it won't be too long of a meditation, but wherever you are, I invite you to get comfy. I will play some background sound bowl vibes.
Ooh, okay.
I know.
I love that.
There are healing vibrations on YouTube. That's great. Let me make sure that I'm on the right. Okay, beautiful. So yes, if you haven't already, begin to bring some movement into the body, just stretching out. Letting your body dictate how it wants to move, how it wants to release. Whether you want to do this meditation laying down or sitting up, it's whatever feels organic. And when you are ready, you can meet me at your center, letting your hands and body fall where they feel called, sinking the foundation below you. And I invite you to take a deep breath in through the nose, filling up the chest completely. And grabbing hold of that breath. And setting it free. Once again, taking in a deep breath in through the nose. Letting it marinate through the body. And audibly exhaling. Fully and completely. Letting that oxygen find itself throughout your body. And finding an organic rhythm. Feeling fully in this moment. Take note of any sounds, and being fully aware, fully witnessing. In this moment, I invite us to call in our divine team, our team of guides, angels, ancestors, goddesses. As we thank them for their guidance, their protection, their love, their stories. And in your mind's eye, I invite you to arrive at the garden of your life. Now, this can look like whatever it organically reveals itself to you to look like. But this garden represents your harvest, your relationships, your current reality. And I invite you to immerse yourself in the full experience of it, feeling the soil beneath your feet. And take notice of what parts of your garden feel healthy. Is it the vegetables that represent your relationships, your friendships that you've nurtured and cultivated? Is it the plot of flowers that represent your creative outlets and how you've been committed and devoted to your purpose? Take notice of how full of life the vegetation of your garden is, the colors of the flowers, the pollinators that are living and fueling. Can you let yourself be proud of how beautifully tended to and full of lush life your garden is? Feel the breeze of wind, the sun feeding the soil, the life that you've nurtured and shown up for. Give yourself permission whether you want to take an apple from one of your apple trees and enjoy it. If you want to sniff some of the flowers you've grown through ritual, through self-care, through boundary setting, through commitment to self, let yourself bask in your garden. And taking in the full scope, are there parts of your garden that clearly need more watering or more sunlight, or perhaps even less rushing, more patience? Are there parts of your garden that represent perhaps your mental health journey, your relationships that are more challenging to navigate? Can you feel intuitively what this plot of land is asking of you? Which parts of your garden need boundaries to be spoken on? Which boundaries for yourself and for others? Which parts of your garden perhaps need more alone time? Maybe even less watering, and more trust in its own organic growth. During this fall equinox, how are you going to devote to basking in your garden and tending to its ever-evolving needs? Is it rest and play, or discipline and devotion, or a balance of both? Is it community or alone time, or a balance of both? Taking these last couple of breaths to really notice the flowers that have bloomed, whether they're roses or tulips or jasmines. To notice the pollinators, whether they're butterflies or bees or dragonflies. Take in the colors, the smells. And be proud of yourself for how beautifully and how bravely you have taken care of this garden. And how, even with uneven amounts of rain and sun, through nature's inevitable imperfections, life still thrives. It is not about measuring out the perfect amount, but being devoted to doing your best. Bidding farewell to this garden and knowing that you can return at any time you feel called. You can breathe into our heart space. And coming back to body on that exhale. Rolling out the neck, bringing back some movement to the limbs. Oh, not the sun creeping. Oh, hey, queen. Beautiful.
Oh, I activated that beautiful message that you shared in that meditation, which just thank you, Jazz. Every time you do a meditation, I literally feel like my head is being gently stroked. Like, you know, when people play with your hair, like, because your voice is just so beautiful. And the way that you guide the visualizations, it's so like soft and intentional that it just makes me feel safe to go there. So thank you so much. And I was like, I'm going to stop doing Reiki and balance and receive some of this. So I was like, I was in a lot of Reiki, love it. I was like, all right, you know what? No, I'm going to get into this and balance myself. So thank you.
Oh my God, baby, thank you. No, about the Reiki at full throttle. And I would love, first of all, thank you for that. And if anyone has cried the whole time, literally me, I was like cramping the whole time and I was like, yes, I'm like bleeding with it. What is so important? I would love if anyone shared any insight as to what like flowers they saw in their garden or any insights that they took from it. But that was a very what's the word that I'm looking for? When it activates just your sense of smell. Like I was smelling my garden very profoundly, and I found that it's so important to recognize. I think we don't give ourselves permission to look at like how lush and how well we have taken care of ourselves because we're always so hyper focused on how we can do better. And so I think hopefully that gives you what you've cultivated. And yeah, and if any messages came through, Jess, please, please, please.
Yes. So I'm going to share just some, that was, yeah. Thank you so much. Exactly. Daisies. Oh, hi, B. Hi, Loves. Hi, Missy. Hi, Cecilia. I actually, that was just amazing. There were so many fantastic things that came through. Yeah. I had hedges. I declined to see I love it.
I love
wow. Okay, so the animal that's guiding this special day of the fall equinox, really interesting, is the rhino.
that.
And every time I get the rhino, I feel like it's this amazing indication of like a unicorn horn energy of strength. Really, that's what the rhino represents, is this sense of strength. But imagine if you could take all of your strength, all of your wisdom, and channel it. Like, you know, the rhino has that one horn, channeling all your strength into that essence. And so here's what I got for us just quickly. Harness all your strength through all your experiences. So I'm going to really invite you that you do a little bit of an inventory and you really honor how much strength you have cultivated throughout your life from all of your experiences. And I was asking why we were receiving this message, and this is where spirit is kind of calling us out, but in a cool way, which I got brought to our third eye, which I'm wearing, your I Am Intuitive.
Yeah.
Amazing color healing tea that goes to the third eye. And what I have here is because we get to reestablish our relationship around trusting in ourselves. Whew. And how that helps us to move through the unknown. So what I'm sensing is that we're getting this message about really getting clear on our strength with the rhino guiding this fall equinox so that we can come back to trusting in ourselves, because the more that we trust in ourselves, the more we're going to trust in the unknown. I think that what you kind of said is so relevant with these messages about being in all these different retrogrades, that things have perhaps not gone as planned for us and things have shifted and we're not where maybe we thought we even were going to be starting out the beginning of this year. And so some of us, what I'm getting from this message is collectively that's shaken our trust within ourselves, but that's also shaken our trust in like remembering how much beauty there still is to unfold in the unknown. So really the unknown, if it's perhaps overwhelming for you, how can you really kind of redirect and shift that and know that there's so much beauty when perhaps we don't know how things are going to work out?
Yes.
And then, feel free if there's anything you want to share. Yeah.
I'm screaming, yeah, so please continue.
And then I got to the heart, a lot of energy around the heart. I was feeling during that like activation. And what I have here is fall back in love with your heart. Fall back in love with your heart. A lot of us have been judging ourselves where we are with our process, and so this is like a reminder to come back to that tenderness. And really the overall message, the mantra, is for us to kind of fill in this blank. I love it because spirit was like, no, it's for all of you to fill out, which is I fall in love with what's going to be that blank. I fall in love with whatever that is for you. I would love to just hear that, but what are you going to fall in love with during this fall equinox?
I know. For me, I can immediately say, for me, I'm falling in love with being. I think I've been in such a state of achieving and figuring out and going and attaining and sort of like taking from life, and controlling time instead of just really basking in being and letting things arrive to me. Someone said myself, and I feel like that's
I love so beautiful. I love you, Regina, too. I know, a beautiful soul. Yeah, that's a really good one. I have to return to that because I think that I want, you know, what I think I really desire for myself is to fall in love with my confidence, because I think it's been so shaken that I would love to fall in love with that part of myself during this fall equinox. Yeah.
Oh my God, my garden of self-doubt, my journey, 100%. Falling in love with the journey is, I think, the most transformative. Yeah, because you realize that there is no destination, there's no arrival. It really is just like a constant becoming and unbecoming. And I'm not going to continue to water my garden of self-doubt. Period, queen. Let her. Yeah, and once again, to anyone who didn't see it, the cards that that I pulled.
Yes, recap.
Emotional withdrawal, taking that time to sit in your garden and hear what the birds singing have to say. Return to that heart space, exactly what Jess is saying, right? That heart, I think when we're led by heart, we really, and this is so cliche, but we really will not be led astray. It's not about anything other than what we truly desire. And then that last card is, we align with our destiny when we're just heart led, right? You see her heart chakra is bursting, and then that's when we have permission to move forward. Word to Miss Alligator right here.
Yes.
Oh, beautiful. Well, I am just Reiki drunk. That was powerful, Jess. Please let the people know, for anyone who's being introduced to you now, how they can one-on-one, please.
I am just so excited. So yeah, just stay connected. Follow me here on Just Be Inspired. I always, you know, got some kind of cool things happening and that I'm offering or posting or doing as long as I feel bound to post. And so I'm just so excited. I love Smudge Wellness too. And I love doing things with you. I can't wait for the next one because it's just so magical, the energy. And I learned so much for myself. So thank you.
I learned so much from you. Yes, huge shout out to Smudge Wellness. Thank you for housing our voice. And Smudge Wellness has 1,000,001 offerings in terms of like things that you can purchase that will further your spiritual journey, wellness tools, and also just like a lot of practitioners like Jess and I that offer our voice. So thank you. If you want to work with me one-on-one, you can do so by visiting my Instagram at Jasmine Kylene or my website, jasminekylene.com. But Jess, anytime that I work with you, I feel like I've added 4 years to my life. You are Vincent. You are a unicorn embodied, and I love you. And I will be texting you after this because I actually have so much more to say.
You totally actually just made me cry. Thank you.
You were crying.
That was like a really beautiful compliment. I'm like just taking that in. So thank you.
About adding years to your life?
Yeah, that just really touched my soul. Thank you.
How much I genuinely mean that, because there are some people. I can probably name like 3, you being one of them, where like no matter how I show up to you, no matter where you are at in your own personal journey, you do nothing but add. Like you never take away, you never drain. You are someone that just continues to give to the world. And it's not coming from depleted energy reserves, but rather just your own like limitless light. So that was like touching the surface of what I really need to say, but I love that even hit you. I love you so much. People, please work with her. I hope that this, thank you. I hope that
and that's just a reflection. That's just a reflection. You've helped me to understand astrology and myself, like, you know, and actually really connect the dots and the missing pieces. Cause I think that you have such a beautiful way of really catering your intuition to also someone else's energy and like being so present and so mindful that it's always just, it's something that I can always return to and always kind of reflect and come back on. So I just love you.
I love you. Not just I love this. Is just a freaking love fest. I love
it's a love fest. And I love everybody here that joined. Thank you.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining. Really have the most incredible fall equinox. Feel free to reach out to either one of us if any insights or questions come up. And otherwise we'll see you for the next one. Yeah.
Yes. I love you, babe.
Guys.
Bye.